If you're over 60 and still believe in love or hoping to find it again, this is for you. Words can lie. Promises can fade. But a man's gestures, the small things he does without thinking, often reveal exactly how he feels about you. Too many women get lost trying to decode his words and texts, missing the real truth. But it's not the grand declarations that prove love. It's the everyday gestures that speak the loudest. Hi, it's Vernon again. Today, I'll share 4 powerful gestures that reveal a man's true feelings and how to know whether his heart is really with you. A man might struggle to express his feelings with words, yet his gestures scream devotion. The truth lives in these unguarded moments, when he acts from instinct, not intention. Before we dive in, like this video and subscribe to my channel for more guidance on love, dating, and marriage after 60. Your support helps us continue sharing these important conversations.
Number 1. The way he listens, or doesn't. The first gesture that reveals a man's true feelings is the way he listens to you, or doesn't. When a man truly cares about you, he doesn't just hear your words, he receives them. His eyes stay on you when you speak. His phone stays face down on the table. He asks questions that show he's not just waiting for his turn to talk, but genuinely absorbing what matters to you. This kind of listening is unmistakable once you know what to look for. He leans in slightly when you're speaking. His facial expressions respond to what you're sharing. Concern when you mention something troubling, joy when you share good news. He doesn't fidget or look around the room. Instead, he creates a bubble of attention where only you and your words exist. But there's a stark contrast when a man's heart isn't truly engaged. He might nod and smile while you speak, but his eyes wander. He interrupts your stories to share his own experiences. When you mention concerns or worries, he immediately jumps to solutions without first acknowledging your feelings. His listening becomes performative rather than authentic. The difference reveals itself in the details. A man whose heart is engaged will remember what you've told him. He'll ask follow-up questions about your garden, your grandchildren, the book you mentioned wanting to read. He'll reference conversations you had weeks ago because they mattered enough to stick in his mind. On the other hand, a man who's not emotionally invested will listen with divided attention. He'll check his watch, glance at his phone, or seem restless for you to finish speaking. His body language betrays what his polite responses try to hide, that his mind is elsewhere. This gesture reveals something profound about male psychology that many women don't fully understand. While men often struggle to express emotions verbally, their listening behavior becomes a window into their emotional investment. When he prioritizes your voice over everything else competing for his attention, the television, his thoughts about work, his phone notifications, he's demonstrating that you matter to him. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." When a man gives you that kind of attention, the kind that listens more than it speaks, it's not just manners, it's love in motion. True listening also involves emotional attunement. He notices not just your words, but your tone, your energy, your mood. If you're excited about something, he matches that energy. If you're troubled, he becomes more gentle and focused. This emotional mirroring shows he's not just processing information, he's connecting with your inner world. So pay attention to the quiet signs. Does he turn toward you when you speak? Does he remember small things you've shared? Your favorite flower, a book you mentioned wanting to read, your worries from last week? And when the conversation matters, does he put everything else aside to be fully present with you? I'd love to hear your experiences with this fundamental gesture. Have you noticed the difference between surface-level listening and deep, attentive presence? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights might help another woman recognize this crucial sign of genuine care. But listening isn't the only gesture. Sometimes his true feelings show in the way he protects you.
Number 2. Protective instincts. The second gesture that reveals a man's true feelings is his protective instincts. Not possessive control, but genuine care for your safety and comfort. This gesture shows up in countless small ways. He walks you to your car after dinner. He insists on carrying heavy bags. He checks to make sure you've arrived home safely. He worries when you're driving in bad weather. These aren't signs of thinking you're incapable. They're expressions of caring about your well-being. My dear friend Lily, a vibrant 63-year-old woman I met through our church community, she told me about Marcus, a man she'd been seeing for about 6 months. "Vernon," she said, "Marcus always carries an umbrella in his car, even when the forecast is clear. He says it's just in case I need it. Yesterday, it started drizzling while we were walking through the market, and there he was, opening that umbrella over me before I even felt the first drops." That small gesture, carrying an umbrella for someone else's comfort, spoke volumes about Marcus's feelings. He thought ahead to her needs. He prepared for her comfort before his own. This is how genuine care expresses itself in action. But I've also witnessed the opposite. Lily had previously dated Harold, who would let her struggle with heavy groceries while he walked ahead. When she mentioned feeling nervous about walking to her car alone after evening events, he'd brush off her concerns. His lack of protective instincts revealed his emotional distance. The key insight here is that protective gestures come from emotional investment. When a man truly cares about you, your safety and comfort become extension of his own concerns. It's not about control or thinking you can't handle things yourself. It's about wanting to make your life easier and safer because you matter to him. These protective instincts show up in many forms. He might insist on meeting people you're concerned about. He could offer to help with tasks that worry you. Perhaps he's more alert to your surroundings when you're together, or he checks in during times when he knows you might feel vulnerable. This gesture reveals something important about how men express love. While women often show care through emotional support and communication, men frequently express care through action and protection. Understanding this difference helps women recognize love in forms they might otherwise overlook. Real protection doesn't need grand gestures. Sometimes it's the way he instinctively places himself between you and a busy street. The way he remembers what makes you uneasy and quietly avoids it. Or how when you speak about something that worries you, he listens without judgment and does something about it. The protective instinct isn't about grand heroic gestures. It's about consistent, thoughtful attention to your well-being. It's about a man who sees potential challenges in your path and quietly helps clear the way. Nelson Mandela once observed, "There is no greater gift than that of giving one's time and energy to help another without expecting anything in return." When a man extends his protective care toward you, he's offering this precious gift. Care isn't only about safety. His gestures of time tell you even more.
Number 3. How he prioritizes time with you. Time is the scarcest resource, and unless it is managed, nothing else can be managed, Peter Drucker wisely noted, and nowhere is this truer than in matters of the heart. The third gesture that reveals a man's true feelings is how he prioritizes time with you. Time is our most valuable possession. We can't create more of it, buy more of it, or save it for later. When a man gives you his time consistently and willingly, he's giving you something irreplaceable. This gesture manifests in beautiful ways that speak louder than any declaration of love. He rearranges his schedule to see you. He chooses to spend his free time with you rather than pursuing other activities. He's punctual when you have plans together, showing respect for your time. He doesn't rush through your time together or seem eager to move on to something else. The way a man treats shared time reveals his true priorities. When he protects your time together from interruptions, when he turns off his phone during dinner, when he plans activities he knows you'll enjoy, these are all expressions of emotional investment. He's essentially saying, of all the ways I could spend these precious hours, I choose to spend them with you. But there's a stark contrast when a man's heart isn't truly engaged. He frequently cancels plans for other opportunities that seem more appealing. He arrives late to your dates without genuine apology. He spends time during your conversations checking his phone or seeming distracted. He cuts your evenings short because something else came up. His treatment of time reveals that you're not a priority in his life. The difference becomes crystal clear when you understand what emotional investment looks like in practice. A man whose heart is truly engaged will protect your shared time like something sacred. He'll plan ahead to be with you, blocking out time in his calendar and declining other invitations. He'll be fully present during your time together, giving you his undivided attention. He'll communicate clearly about his availability and consistently follow through on commitments. This gesture reveals something profound about how men express love. While women often show care through emotional support and verbal affection, men frequently demonstrate their feelings through the allocation of their most precious resource, time. Understanding this difference helps women recognize love in forms they might otherwise overlook. Time prioritization also shows up in smaller, daily ways. He makes time for brief phone calls even during busy days. He adjusts his routine to accommodate your schedule. He chooses to spend quiet evenings with you rather than going out with friends. He remembers important events in your life and makes himself available during those moments. The consistency of this gesture matters enormously. Anyone can make time for someone once or twice, but a man who consistently prioritizes time with you over weeks and months is demonstrating sustained emotional investment. This pattern reveals that being with you has become essential to his sense of well-being and happiness. Time is one of the clearest ways a man shows where his heart lies. A man who truly cares doesn't just fit you in, he makes space for you. He chooses time with you over distractions. Even when life gets busy, he keeps you in his plans, not out of obligation, but because being with you feels like home. Save this video and share it with friends or groups who might benefit from these insights. Understanding how men show their true feelings can transform how we interpret their actions. And finally, the most telling gestures of all are often the quietest. Number 4. Small acts of thoughtfulness. The fourth and perhaps most revealing gesture is small acts of thoughtfulness, those tiny considerations that show he thinks about you, even when you're not together. These gestures are often so subtle they could be missed, but they carry enormous emotional weight. He remembers how you take your coffee and prepares it without being asked. He notices when you're cold and adjusts the temperature. He picks up your favorite flowers during his regular errands. He sends you a text before bed, not because he needs anything, but because he wants you to know you're on his mind. I think of Zelda, a spirited 66-year-old woman I know through our senior center's book club. She shared something beautiful with me about Thomas, a man she'd been seeing for nearly a year. "Vernon," she said, "last month I caught a terrible cold and mentioned it briefly during one of our phone calls. The next day, Thomas drove 40 minutes across town just to bring me homemade chicken soup from his favorite deli. He didn't stay long because he didn't want to catch my cold, but seeing him at my door with that soup container was more powerful than hearing 'I love you' 100 times." Thomas's gesture revealed his emotional investment in Zelda's well-being. He didn't just offer sympathy, he took action. He invested time, effort, and thought into making her feel better. That soup represented far more than nutrition. It was care made tangible. But thoughtfulness, or the lack of it, reveals everything about a man's true feelings. Zelda had previously dated Frank, who would forget important details about her, never noticed when she was struggling with something, and rarely did anything that wasn't directly beneficial to him. His lack of thoughtfulness revealed his emotional absence. In the words of Viktor Frankl, "Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, the ability to choose one's attitude in any set of circumstances." When a man consistently chooses thoughtful attitudes and actions toward you, he's exercising this ultimate freedom in service of your happiness. Small acts of thoughtfulness reveal a man's emotional radar for your needs and preferences. When he notices you're tired and suggests you rest, when he remembers you mentioned running low on something and picks it up for you, when he thinks to ask about something important happening in your life, these gestures show that you occupy space in his mind and heart. This is how genuine love operates in daily life. It's not about expensive gifts or dramatic declarations. It's about consistent, small considerations that demonstrate you matter enough for him to notice, remember, and act on your behalf. Watch for these signs. Does he remember details about your preferences, concerns, or interests? Does he notice when you need something before you have to ask? These thoughtful gestures accumulate over time, creating a foundation of care that speaks louder than words ever could. Because gestures never lie. They show you the truth he may be too afraid to say. Looking back at what we've explored today, you now understand the 4 powerful gestures that reveal a man's true feelings. The way he listens with his whole presence, his protective instincts that prioritize your safety and comfort, how he chooses to spend his precious time with you, and those small acts of thoughtfulness that show you live in his mind and heart. When a man shows his true feelings, it's not in what he says once. It's in the gestures he repeats over and over again. These actions flow from the heart without conscious planning,
which makes them more honest than any words could be. The deepest truth I can share with you is this: love reveals itself not in promises of tomorrow, but in the tender attention of today. And I believe the philosopher John Dewey would agree that we find truth through experience, not just through words. Have you experienced the clarity that comes when you truly understand these silent communications of the heart? I'd love to hear your insights in the comments below. Your wisdom might be exactly what another woman needs to recognize authentic love after 60. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more guidance on navigating relationships after 60 with wisdom and grace. Check the description for additional resources supporting your journey toward deeper, more meaningful connections. Remember, your golden years can truly be golden, especially in love. And I'm Vernon. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video.